I'm writing this as crude as possible as a reminder to myself why I will never touch her again. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Aura Zone Stories. Today we have a story where this woman was obsessed with late night band party while her husband secretly followed her. Let's see what actually happened. My wife and I have been married for 10 years. We enjoy going to concerts a lot. We are Hispanic and enjoy live music in smaller venues. Last November we went to see a band or group that was very popular a couple years ago and got a lot of radio play. Now they mainly play in nightclubs. Anyway, we went with another couple. My wife likes to dress very attractively when we go to events like this. She is very good looking and usually gets a lot of looks. I don't mind since she's always been all about me. We have a good time. The main band, like usual, only plays 1 hour from 11 to 12. My wife likes to post to Snapchat a lot, so she posts a lot of the show. Since we know the venue owner, we sometimes get to see the band after and take pics and hang out a bit. This time we got to go to the back as well. I got distracted getting drinks, and my wife and the other couple went without me. By the time I made it to the back of the stage, they pretty much were leaving. My wife and other couple were super excited, as they were invited to an after party in the city with them. This is rare, but it has happened before. But this was definitely unexpected. We drove to the location. I was a bit apprehensive since the kind of crowd to like this music and drop $15,000 for 1 hour of music is sometimes sketchy. We get there and they are already playing. They play for 1 more hour, then another band takes over. The main singer of the band approached us, and we talked for a bit. My wife was elated as she has been a big fan. She takes lots of pics. At some point, I go to the restroom, the drinks are hitting me. I come back to the sitting area, and my wife is not there. I assumed she went to the restroom. 20 minutes pass and I text her. No response. I find the other couple, and they said they haven't seen her. I call her, no response. I finally find her coming down the stairs from the 2nd floor. She's with the singer and another girl. She tells me that he showed her where the restroom was and that she was talking with this girl that she just met. This sets off alerts in my head. We immediately leave. We get home and she takes a long shower. We finally go to sleep around 4 a.m. I try to not be paranoid, but I have a bad feeling about the whole thing. Days pass and she refused bedroom activity as she says she's tired. I decided to check her phone. I find that she DM'd the guy to his public Instagram. I had a great night. The guy left her on scene. I see that the very next day, she texted her friend, "We need to talk, I got gossip." She also befriended the girl she was with on Instagram. The following weekend we are grilling and drinking at my house. A song by this group came on, and the friend she messaged immediately looks at my wife and toasts her glass to her and says, "For the memories." This group is playing in city 2 hours away, and my wife magically got tickets for her and her friend. It's a Friday night, so I can't go due to work. I've checked her phone again, and the message to the dude has been deleted. Am I crazy to think something is going on? I have convinced my wife to drive my car up to the concert. I have a GPS on my car and plan on following her. I've called into work. I messaged my wife's friend husband. I started with small talk about football and such. I causally mentioned that the price of the tickets. He responded with, "Yeah man, thanks for the ticket. My wife said that you had work and she's going with your wife. I'll get you next time." This confirms that my wife lied about the tickets. She had told me that her friend got them for cheap on resale. I'm driving my truck, and I'm ready for an all-night stakeout if needed. We live in California, but still expecting the temp to drop. I even got my dusty Nikon ready. I'm mad, not going to lie. I don't have an app with a lawyer yet, but plan on when I gather concrete evidence. My wife moved her waxing app to yesterday. I only know because of the CC statement. She has been suffering from cramps for 4 days and thinks her period is coming according to her. Any advice? I feel like a loser having to do all this. Despite the advice against it, I followed through with my plan of following my wife and her friend to the concert yesterday. Some clarification: I'm the breadwinner and I don't have a shared bank account. I manage 99% of the finances. We don't have kids as she never wanted any. She works with her sister doing nails. In reality, she only has a couple clients a week, and she spends that petty cash in herself. We have been together 10 years, but married 6. Thank God, I bought our current home before we got married. We have 3 cars, 2 under my name and 1 under hers. Hers is still being financed. I removed my bank info from the direct payment. I canceled all her CCs for which she was an authorized user. I called my brother who is divorced and asked for his lawyer's info. I spoke to the lawyer. Now the ugly part. I followed her to the venue. I could not find a voice recording device like many of you advised. They went in around 8. I found street parking from where I could see her car. She snapped the whole thing. At around 11, she texted me they both had too much to drink and will probably crash at her cousin's house. At around midnight, the event ended. I stayed put. I took the risk of her seeing my truck, but there was lots of traffic. I saw her car move on the GPS and I followed. Her and her friend drove to an upscale hotel. They parked on the street and waited there for about 40 minutes. I took a pic of them waiting while I was on foot. They eventually went in. I took a risk and walked around back. I found one of the band's Sprinter vans parked near the basement parking. This I could see from the street. I texted her, "Alright, see you in the morning, don't drive drunk." She said, "Okay, love you, see you tomorrow." I drove home. This morning my wife got home and went directly to bed. I called her friend. I told her that I had seen them go into a hotel and I was going to tell her husband. She was confused at first. The husband knew where she was going and thought I knew too. Apparently my wife told her I had okayed the whole thing. She was apologetic and told me what she knew. Back on November, my wife went without me to meet the band. Apparently the lead singer took a liking to her and grabbed her back while taking pics. My wife cozied up to him and he groped her a couple more times. He then invited her to the after party. At the party, as soon as I went to the restroom, the other girl came over and they all 3 went upstairs. My wife and the girl BJ'd him. My wife then got bedroom activity with the dude while the other girl just watched. No protection was used. Apparently the other girl is a groupie for sure and just encourages new girls to do bedroom activity with the group. Here's what really hurts. My wife told her friend that she wasn't going to have bedroom activity with me in case she ended up pregnant. She was thrilled about the idea of being pregnant. Not going to lie, this hurt the most. Her friend and her husband have an open relationship apparently. The guy called me to confirm and show support. He really thought I knew, but was acting like I didn't as part of the act, whatever that means. Last night, my wife and her friend did bedroom activity with the guy in a suite. My wife gave head to the drummer, but did bedroom activity with him as well. They did coke and the singer did bedroom activity in her back. I'm writing this as crude as possible as a reminder to myself why I will never touch her again. I took my wife's phone. Her snap code for hidden pics was her last 4 of her social. She took pics. Even the first time she took pics, she on her knees wearing the dress back in November BJ the guy off. I airdropped everything to my phone. I woke her up around noon. I handed her, unlocked her phone, and said nothing. I told her she had to be gone by the time I came back. I called her dad, who's always been honest with me, and told him I was leaving her because she cheated. He stayed quiet and said he understood. My wife's mom cheated on him too. They reconnected years later. Thank you for your words, everyone. I have a sit-down app on Monday with the lawyer. I'm going fishing with my brother today. She's called me 40 times the last hour. This is just cold betrayal. She is not in love with him but his paycheck. I am so sorry for what has happened to him. He acted on his intuition and by all accounts with dignity and grace. It appears that he has emotions in check. There is a time and place where he will be numb and become indifferent to her. I do hope that time comes sooner rather than later. Generally, he should stay clear of people with open marriages. They are not friends of his relationship. They can and commonly do cause trouble in monogamous relationships of other people. They may preach ethical non-monogamy, but their actions may differ from that, just like the actions of this couple. So, I and my wife have been together for 5 years and have 2 kids. Things between us developed quickly and she got pregnant. We moved in together rapidly before the baby was born and our mutual life began. After our first daughter was born, we were elated, of course. But, as it is normal, she started developing some form of postpartum depression. She wasn't accustomed to staying at home for so long, as she had been very active with work and her social life before the pregnancy. One day, she told me she was feeling really depressed and emotionally drained, and was going to talk to a male friend from work. Let's call him John. with whom she had a deeper bond, sharing dreams, meditation, etc., because I couldn't understand or wouldn't listen to her problems. By that way, around that time I was breaking my back working long hours. She told me they would only have some coffee nearby our house, and I said okay, but asked if she had had anything more with the guy, and she said no. I wasn't that happy with her seeing another man for help, and she got defensive and even said I was being insecure. So they had their coffee for about an hour, and I stayed at home changing diapers. This was when our first daughter was young. This was in late 2019. Fast forward to the summer of 2022, we had already had our second daughter, and I noticed her becoming a little distant, maybe complacent with everything. I provide a stable income and she's still in motherhood. We had regular bedroom activity, but I was almost always the one who initiated it. One day, after bedroom activity, while we were talking, she said something about me being a jealous type. I asked when had I been jealous or showed jealousy, and she brought up her meeting with John, to which I replied with a bluff and said that I reacted like that because I knew they had been sleeping in the past, which of course I didn't know. She was a little flustered, but said, "So what? That was a long time ago." I was hopping mad because she had lied to me. The next day I decided to check her phone, saw texts between them. I found nothing serious, but there was some slight flirting in there. They weren't texting regularly, maybe once or twice a month. What got my attention too was that she never mentioned me by name, or in any other way, in all of their conversations, while he regularly mentioned his wife. My wife was always talking about her daily life, the kids, etc., but never me. This is probably because she thought this would be a turn-off for the guy, just my explanation. He invited her to lunch a few times, she accepted, but they never actually met. After that, while in motherhood, the company she had been working at released her, but she and John continue to communicate now and then. I had a hunch and opened another social media she has, and there it was again, the same conversations. This time, however, the conversation was from 2 years ago, but nevertheless, she was initiating the conversations and was complimenting the guy a lot on how smart he was, how he could find solutions to any problem at work, etc. John thanked her and asked how she had been doing. She told him about her daily routine, the kids, and said the only thing she missed was the meditation, and the other thing that went along with it. Also, you are one of the primary reasons why I want to come back to the office. I was so angry, even though this conversation was from 2 years ago. I asked her, "Do you have anything for this guy?" At first she tried to play dumb and said she didn't remember the conversation, then began to accuse me of invading her privacy, then started to defend herself and said that was not flirting. When she saw how agitated and firm I was, she confessed that she had been flirting a bit, but not with the intention to cheat, just to boost her ego. I demanded she cut contact with the guy, and she agreed. Now she seems remorseful, wants to rehabilitate herself, and insists there was nothing more than just texting. To be honest, I'm disappointed by her. I feel insulted and betrayed. Her longing and complimenting another man like that makes me feel insulted as a man. I don't plan to leave, of course, but I doubt I would ever trust her fully. I need to hear some thoughts and advice. Edit, truth will out. To be completely honest, the last 6 months before I made my discovery, which was 2 weeks ago, have been great. Our life was great, my wife was caring and loving, and even more so after D-Day. But I know that a wolf can change his coat, but not his character, so I will remain vigilant. For the ones asking why I don't plan to leave, at least for now, the only reason is the baby. But I told my wife that if I ever suspect something like that again, she's out. Thanks for the support and advice, guys. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt for my children's sake, although I know that cheaters will always cheat. If he has to go through so many measures to validate his reason to stay in his marriage, that's just going to be another problem rather than a solution. He'll never trust her and he'll never have a peace of mind, because even if she told him the whole truth, he'll always think that's not all of. So, really, he needs to determine if he wants peace of mind or struggle with his thoughts about his wife throughout the marriage and still feel unfulfilled, or maybe even unhappy throughout the marriage. Almost 1 month today I found out my GF of 7 years had been cheating on me for almost 3 months. I was caught blindsided, as even though things between us weren't the same for a while, we were still very good with each other, and we were still doing stuff and creating new memories regularly. After her behavior started to change the last few months, I got suspicious, and after 2 weird nights out she spent in a girlfriend's house, I had to be sure. So I checked her phone and found all sorts of proof about the timeline of the affair, and the confirmation of both a physical and emotional cheating. I found out she approached at least 3 different men online, and with one of them she had gone forward with the act. I confronted her and asked her where she was those 2 nights, to which she kept lying to my face, still saying she was at her friend's house. After several chances of her telling the truth, which she kept lying, I told her all I knew. After discussing everything and her blaming most on me, I packed all my stuff. We were living together the last 3 years on a house she owns, but we split all the expenses and left the same day. Along this time since the discovery, we talked a few times, and through all that she said and showed me through her actions, she seems to not have much remorse or regret, if at all. Even though in one of our talks she said she didn't want to lose me forever, which I think is a bunch of lie, since we talked about cheating before, and how against it we both were. And she knew how much it meant to me. My mother cheated on my father when I was young, and I never really forgave my mother for it, even though my father did. The only thing she said was that she regretted not having broken up with me before she cheated. I even asked her if had I not found out, when was she planning on telling me, to which she responded she probably would not have told me, and just broken up without coming clean. So I'm left here destroyed. I did all the mistakes most people do at the start, and I told her I would be willing to try and forgive her if she was willing to work on our problems and try to get back what we lost and fix what she had broken, going to therapy, individually and together. She showed very little interest and said that she needed to be without me for a while to try and figure things out. At this point, I was actually feeling like I was the one that had cheated, and was the only one that wanted to try and fix things, which I felt should be the exact opposite of what should be happening. After another talk, it was clear to me that she now had an emotional connection to her partner, and that she wanted to pursue that to see where it was leading to. I told her several times through our conversations that I would not be the second choice, and that we either chose to work on it or it was over. So now I'm 1 week no contact, and I feel like some days I'm good, others I'm terrible. I feel like the worst part about all this, and what's been harder for me to accept, is how quick and easy this all was to her. We went from being good with each other and still talking about buying land to build our house and having kids soon, to her having an emotional connection with some random guy she'd been with only a few times over a couple of months. I feel like it was so easy for her to scrap me in our 7-year relation. I did everything for this woman, was always there for her. She had a bunch of emotional trauma in her life and was constantly depressed. I was always the only one there to pick her up. I trusted this person with all I had. I even felt like if for some reason I had to choose between her life and mine, I would have given mine up for hers. That's how much she meant to me. And to have this much love for someone, and now feel like I didn't mean anything to her, that she didn't even love or respect me enough not to cheat, is crushing. It's hard to accept that she was over me and us so quickly, and that being apart now doesn't seem to bother her much, if at all. We both worked from home, so we spent the last 3 years together most of the time. I'm constantly thinking about her now, and even though I hate her and what she did, I still love her and wish deep down that we could fix it. However, I feel like even if she showed remorse and was willing to try and work it out, I probably would never be able to forgive her, and our relationship would never be the same, as I feel that person I trusted so much no longer exists or ever existed, and this new person that looks like her is someone completely different. But I still would want to try, I think, at least. Just wanted to share my story, as I feel talking about it and knowing the opinion from other people has been good for me. She's a broken human being. She'll do the same to her next relationship rather than work on herself and her brokenness. He sacrificed too much to save someone just not worth it. She only wanted to keep him around for emotional support until she gets the new guy comfortable enough to emotionally dump on him. She clearly has some narcissistic tendencies to know his history and trauma and to still use it against you. That kind of person should be removed from his life permanently.